What's going on, guys? Ryman Teacher in the house, and we're back with the GPL week number 2 power rankings. By we, of course, I mean me and my esteemed co-host Trancel. How you doing, man?
Yeah, not too bad. Ready for this?
Alright. So, as always, guys, with our power rankings, they are largely speaking going to be objective based on win-loss and differential, but in the case of any tiebreakers, we will break down any extra additional factors going into it as we get to them. Please bear in mind, of course, they are our opinions. You know, you don't have to slash us in the comments or criticize me on my stream in the case of one particular individual in the other group. But yeah, we'll go over that as we get there. So with that being said, coming in at number 10 this week is going to be effectively Shadow, as Winter was unfortunately not well. Winter is actually back for this week, which is a pleasure to have her back. Hopefully she's well. But yeah, safe to say this game was not Shadow's finest hour. He kind of needlessly sacked a Marowak to an Earth Power for seemingly no reason. It really had no opportunity to do anything. And then no hazard removal whatsoever just meant that his entire team just died to a Dragapult.
Yeah, it was kind of bad. I liked seeing the toxicity actually put in some decent work. It ended up 1v1ing the Porygon 2 that only had T-Bolt as its defensive move, which is a little strange.
Not even try attack.
Mm.
I mean, I guess Dragon Ball would have walled it, but still. Definitely.
It felt like Shadow was on. He was desperate from turn 2. He G-Maxed the Blastoise super early, and it didn't really do anything for him. And yeah,
we're definitely starting to see a lot of how this team doesn't really function as a team. We've seen, obviously, Winter really struggle to get the grips with it. Actually played it better than Shadow did. Obviously, Shadow is very out of his comfort zone with having to pick up a team that he didn't even draft and has not really any real understanding of how this draft works, or if it even works. So it's definitely a tough situation for Shadow, of course, but I do appreciate you filling in. It definitely sucks for Winter, of course, having to be 0-2 and -9, but, you know, it may have been expected either way, but who knows. But it's nice to have Winter back. So, with all that being said, coming in at number 9, it's gonna be Nico. Oh man, I feel for Nico so much because he made these changes and they looked pretty promising on paper. Unfortunately, the Gyarados getting paralyzed kind of meant they didn't do anything, which sucked for him. And ultimately, kind of an odd Cinderace play, where he bulked up, didn't go for Max Fireball, which actually would have been the better play by a mile, especially considering their Rotom Heat. Definitely kind of odd. Switching out on a Sylvie Dark didn't really seem to make a lot of sense. Cinderace does get U-turn and a fighting move, so kind of no reason not to click them, in a way. But yeah, this team almost got over the line. Indeed, the Alakazam did actually cause some havoc, especially for a little while. Unfortunately, the Alakazam, even in Psychic Terrain with Expanding Force, did not do enough damage to kill a max HP Sylveon, and ultimately that's what cost them the game in the long run.
yeah, and shout-outs to Octazolt's nickname. Where did Gyarados go? Because everybody was wondering what happened there.
Yep, it done died it. I did like that nickname, Nico. It's almost like you planned it. But yeah, definitely pretty funny. Huge props to that. But either way, nicknames aside, battles did not quite work. But coming in at number 8 then, we're starting to get into the 1-1 territory. Oh man, Denistrio. Talk about the comeback you didn't want. This was exactly it. Pretty bizarre play, honestly, all around. Obviously, the crit definitely turned it away from him. But it felt like even from that moment on, I don't know whether Denny just tilted off the face of the earth. We know he does have tilt problems sometimes. He just didn't, or just genuinely didn't have an answer for the Grimmsnarl. But it definitely was not the showing that Denny would have wanted on his first game of the season.
Yeah, he also had so much trouble with Mandibuzz, banded Rillaboom and Scarf Cinderace were never gonna break it. He said something about Gengar, but it had to get like a nasty plot up to break it. It just seemed like Akami had kind of all the tools to kind of handle Dinny's team, even if the crit didn't come in anyway.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't the best matchup in the world, but you definitely don't expect to see Dinny getting 6-0'd here. Hopefully this is a one-off and we start seeing Dinny really step up. I believe he plays Barger this week, so that's going to be an interesting one.
He plays
is it Barger this week?
Elm.
Professor Elm, actually,
Elm.
which is also an interesting one. We'll get to that one in a second. Alright. Coming in at number 7 is going to be Arvid. Now, at this point, there are 3 coaches with the same win-loss and differential. However, Arvid is the bottom of the 3 because he actually lost his game and lost his game pretty hardcore to DJ. Pretty much a similar story in a way to Denistria, really. Like a really terrible matchup. And just generally didn't really have anything to offer this match. Obviously, Sun is a nightmare for most teams, and when you have Rillaboom Melmetal, like you have to drop one of them, so Melmetal didn't even come. Kind of interesting. Did like some of the plays around the Flygon. The Mew, unfortunately, was outspared by a Scarf Crook, and even the Vacuum Wave didn't kill, so definitely a rough one for Arvid. He's made a lot of changes to his team for this week, though. He's actually dropped the G-Max Rillaboom, which I'm kind of happy about. We'll talk about that in one of my videos a little bit later on, but yeah, definitely kind of interesting. He's changed up his team. Not really sure I would take advice from Cap Guy taking a G-Max Charizard over a Rillaboom, personally. But it'll be interesting to see how Arvid changes that, because actually, funny enough, Arvid actually plays me this week, so definitely going to be interesting to see what he can do.
Yeah, and it kind of, he just lost the weather war as well. He lost Ninetales to an Iron Head, so once that went down, then Torkoal's got no contention.
It was a really good mix combo, so if I remember right. Did it have a
as
well?
Looked like it was AV, because it was just taking all the special moves. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, very, very strong prep, though. Definitely difficult when you just don't have answers, and that's always a scary thought when you got a rough matchup. But yeah, that Ironhead play was insane. I don't think anyone expected that, including me when I was watching the replay. Yeah, I nearly fell off my seat. That was not a fun moment. But yeah. Alright. Coming in at number 6 then is going to be Sylvie. Obviously, of course, taking that narrow 1-0 win over Nico. Pretty interesting game overall, I think. Obviously, Sylvie Dark, both Axo and I predicted that in Pick'ems. Made the most sense by a long way. Pretty solid game. Generally speaking, we suddenly see a lot more from Sylvie than we've seen in a long time. So I'm really excited for that. Hopefully, this is the start of a decent season for Sylvie. He's kind of due one. He's had quite a few bad seasons. So... and of course he's made a few changes moving forward. Sadly, no flip turn seeking anymore. He's actually dropped that. And he actually traded Arcanine with Barger for Incineroar, which gives him that dark type that he didn't have. So it's definitely a decent bit of reworking going on. I'm not sure how much Meowstic Mail's really going to do for this team, but it's an option at the very least.
Yeah, I think it's better than Seeking, because I didn't see Seeking coming to any games, so maybe it does something. Probably won't do too much, but gives him a Psychic type, so
why the hell not?
But either way, it was quite good to see the Sylvie just like set up everything. It was like Lycanroc set up, but it was actually like pretty good setup. It was a bit of a shame he didn't have Crunch on it though to get rid of. I can't remember what it was, but it just didn't kill whatever it was.
Mine's gone now. I have to look at the thing. Was it Dalmise? Yeah, I think he had Play Rough. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Dalmise. Yep.
Yeah, because the Arcanine had Crunch instead.
But yeah, I was pretty happy with how he played, and good Zeraora late game, and then Sylveon obviously finished off the game in
true Sylvie fashion.
representing him well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Gotta love when your mascot wins the game. Alright, but that means coming in at number 5 then, a huge step up this week is, of course, Professor Elm. Unfortunately, he beat me this week. Actually, for the most part, played this pretty well. I think there were definitely some weird plays and odd decisions, especially the turn 1. I don't know why on earth he risked his Ninetales that early, especially against my Mudsdale. I guess he just wanted intel. I did actually run a calc on it. If I ran the standard Mudsdale that I ran before, this Solar Beam does about 50%, so I could definitely kind of understand the justification for going for that. But again, it felt like a bit of an unnecessary risk. And then the biggest one, which really turned the game away from me, was the crit triple axle on the Duraludon. Obviously, it sucks when that happens because I would have lived and then I'd have broken the Weavile Sash. But ultimately, I don't think it made too much of a difference to the game. It just meant that Weavile couldn't switch in. But yeah, generally speaking, I think Professor played this pretty well. The Cobalion switch didn't make a lot of sense to me personally. I guess he just expected me to pivot out. But yeah, had I Fiery Dance there, it would have been a very, very different game. But yeah, ultimately the guy never missed any moves. He played generally fairly decent. He didn't prep his Sun Core too well, in my opinion. If you're not going to bring Weather Ball on Venusaur, then you're going to get stalled out by an Amoonguss, which is what happened. Even though it was pretty offensive on his build, it did nothing to Amoonguss. I could sit there all day on it. But yeah, I think generally he's going to be very, very strong. He's improving week after week after week, which is pretty scary for everyone who still has to play him. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing where he goes further on through the season.
Yeah, for sure. Just one note. I think he was just thinking you would Quiver Dance, so that was just his instant reaction. That's what I got from the video. He's just like, oh, my Choice Scarf, Cobalion, easy. But it's like,
It's like, if I didn't show him too much respect, I would have actually won the game. That's the sad part. I showed him too much respect early on when I was like, well, he's clearly not going to risk his Ninetales early, so he's going to switch out. So I rocked him thinking I would... I rocked him thinking I'd get away with it. And then, nope, I could have killed the Ninetales turn 1. And then the Cobalion, oh man. But yeah. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting one. But coming in at rank number 4 is actually going to be me anyway, so we can kind of continue the conversation. I think, honestly though, aside from my somewhat passive feeling playstyle, I don't think there was much I could have done different, aside from those 2 turns. I think generally speaking, I got a little bit unlucky on the Pangoro. I didn't calc the HP correctly and stuff like that. So there were some definite weird misplays on my end. One thing that's worth noting, I did drop Braviary for Noivern this week, which is a much faster Pokemon and definitely something I needed for this team. With Volcarona being my fastest at base 100, it's a little bit of a worry. Noivern gives me a fast pivot. It does all the things that Braviary does, just on the special side. So definitely a good pickup, and having to play Arvid is going to be interesting. I hate Melmetal. Anybody who knows me knows I hate Melmetal. But I think I might be able to beat it this week.
Yeah, for sure. We can move along.
Exactly. So coming in at number 3 is going to be Barger. Took a very, very solid, very routine, simple win. Honestly, I don't think he really was under any pressure. Decent play on the Marowak turn 3, and then just simple anti-hazards, and then Dragapult, Dragon Darts. Pretty simple sweep, to be honest. There was nothing overly complicated about this. I believe Barger made quite a few trades going into this. Just want to check what he did. Let's have a look. So, yeah, he also dropped Xatu for a Lowland Persian. According to this.
Yeah, I think he's getting thrown around. He had Xatu for a week and then...
Yeah, bought it in and then took it out again. And obviously also picked up Arcanine for Incineroar, which is kind of an interesting trade. He loses a Dark type now. Not sure how big of a deal that might be. But Arcanine's generally very solid Pokemon anyway. It still gives him Intimidate and a Pivot, so... it'll be interesting to see how well he uses that and whether he can actually make that work. But yeah, it'd be a tough match. I hate the look of this team. I'm sorry, Barger. It still looks like a stall team to me. I don't care what you say. Obviously, one thing I have just
Stall.
realized is the orbital's still there instead of toxicity, but that's whatever. We know that's a tox up there. But yeah, definitely
Yes.
tough matchup going forward. If you haven't got toxic on your team, it's going to be tough. Dear. Alright, coming in at rank number 2 then is going to be DJ this week. He's been knocked off of rank number 1 purely on differential, but I think it's safe to say this was nothing but Demolition Derby for DJ. The Torkoal did whatever it wanted and Crocodile just came in pretty nice and conveniently being choice scarfed and ended up winning the game. Definitely not a fun time for Arvid. I feel bad for him. I feel bad for anyone that has to play this team, I'm not going to lie. I'm not looking forward to week 6 when I have to play it.
Yeah, he pretty much just used Venusaur to just break down the Mantine, basically. Breaking its own counter, or check in a way. It was kind of insane how strong that thing is.
Yeah, generally he didn't really need to do much. Obviously he sacked off the Torkoal for Crocodile to get in, but whatever.
Yeah.
At that point the game was just so heavily in his favour. Sacking him on didn't really matter to him, other than for the one differential spot, but it is what it is. He's still strong, he's still terrifying. May God have mercy on your soul whoever has to play him next, because I'm not looking forward to that.
Which is Akami, which,
speak of the devil and he shall appear, he's actually in rank number 1 this week. He actually managed to make it after a pretty clean 6-0. Didn't really have too much pressure on him. Unfortunately, Denny just collapsed. Obviously, yes, the crit sucked. It wasn't the deciding factor, but it definitely had an impact. It's definitely a big turning point in the game. But yeah, generally speaking, there wasn't really enough answers for Mandibuzz on Denny's team, and it just generally showed. This was a very simple routine game that Akami put together, and it's looking pretty ominous. I'm really excited for this week's match. Obviously, the top 2 guys facing each other, so one of them is going to end their losing run or winning run. It'd be interesting to see who it is.
yeah, for sure. He's the top dog.
Yep, who really is the top seed? We'll soon find out. But either way, guys, that is going to conclude the power rankings for the Johto League, of course. So, with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. My name is Ryvombi Teacher. That's Trancel.
See you guys later.
Yep, stay safe, stay awesome, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care.